If there was one creator that I would say, let's not over evaluate and over index maybe some of the efficiency numbers or what their box score is indicating their value to be on a given offensive possession, I would say it's probably Cade. And the reason why I say that is because their advantage as a team is so clearly their physicality, their defense, their athleticism, etc. Some of the lineups that Detroit decides to play, for the most part, features 3 guys that you just don't care about beyond 10 feet, and it's very much Cade gets something for us, whether it's a shot at the free throw line. I think the one thing that you can consistently kind of poke at with Cade is some of the dribbling through traffic stuff and maybe some of the decisions when playing within traffic, but outside of that, man, like down the stretch, basically, it was, and the reason why they had to start setting some of those high doubles, it was Cade, I'm going to get to my mismatch, but then also you have such a luxury in the fact that Cade Cunningham is a 6'6", uber athletic guard that is legitimately just really good defender. He's a really good defensive guard. On the ball, he has the versatility to switch up and down the lineup, provide secondary rim protection. So now you're able to have these lineups with legitimately him, Tobias, Danis, Asar, and Jalen Duren. And your defense is just going to carry your offense. Occasionally going to be just fine on the offensive end of the floor. And Duncan chips in 5 threes, and Duncan has always kind of felt like a little bit more than just a 3-point shooter. So I think process-wise is such a big thing for Cade. And process-wise, like Cade just feels so in control of 90% of the half-court offensive possessions that he's involved in.
Detroit's size and athleticism is just too much for Cleveland's wings. They just don't have big forwards who can match up with these types of guys, and then all of their bigger forwards pose some kind of offensive liability. Like if you get Naquan Tomlin on the court, now it's a non-shooter. Dean Wade can't really make decisions off the catch, and he's not really respected as a shooter. Keon Ellis to me feels mostly, I don't want to say unplayable, but like really a non-factor in this series on both sides of the ball because of Detroit's speed and length to run him off the line, and then the fact that he's just not big enough to guard anyone. On Detroit, like those last 3 games of the Orlando series was just absolutely phenomenal basketball from Cade, where it's, we're going to try to deny you the ball, we're going to try to make anyone else dribble, we're going to completely pack the paint on every drive, and you got to go get it out of the mud. And then he's like, okay, I'll average 35 on 65% true shooting. I'll do that. I'll hit all my pull-up jumpers. I'll get to my spots. I'll pick apart your defense. As a passer, there's a level of assertiveness with Cade where it's anytime he can like sniff the slightest advantage, even if it's in transition or the half court or coming off the ball. Cade's versatility is such a cheat code when it comes to building a roster out, building lineups. And you kind of hinted at this where with the way they can defensively slant, but there's something to be said about having a superstar that like doesn't need to be covered for in any way. I would say the one slight deficiency you can point to with Cade is like, as a lead guard, you'd want him to be a better 3-point shooter, particularly off the catch. Like he's not just this big time floor spacer, but how much does the floor spacing matter if his man's going to face guard him and deny him the ball? Like you're getting the same effect that you would get from an elite shooter if Dean Wade's just going to face guard him in the corner or face guard him on the slot, because now your offense is playing 4-on-4. So Cade's still spacing the floor like an elite shooter, but then when he has the ball, it's like once the pull-up 3 starts going, I think there was a stat that they mentioned during the game. He made a pull-up 3 and they said he's made 12 of his last 19 threes. When Cade's hitting the pull-up 3, I don't know what you do, because if you're going to keep going with that deep drop, he'll just kill you. But then, like you said, the pace, the poise, the size and strength to get to those mid-range opportunities. The fact that he can make pretty much every tight window pass. He kept connecting with Duren in that 4th quarter to close out the game on those tight window passes, again, because Cleveland couldn't have their double bigs on the court. So now Duren starts to open up, and Cade's quick to recognize these things. He's quick to get off the ball, quick to recognize advantages, quick to control the pace, whether that means speeding it up or slowing it down. But to me, the big cheat code is the fact that like you said, he's genuinely getting into this class of like elite defender. Like among offensive superstars, is he not the best defender in the league, not named Wembanyama? I mean, you've got like Shea. I personally would say Cade is a slightly better defender than Shea because of the on-ball stuff. I think Cade's definitely a better defender than Ant because of the off-ball stuff. Who else even comes to mind in that discussion? I guess Kawhi. Kawhi's probably a better defender still. Giannis too, but Giannis was hurt and he had the weird season. But the point I'm trying to get at is that like Cade doesn't need to be covered for defensively. So you go to these defensively slanted lineups and then he enhances them on defense by adding to it. You get Cade, he's full court pressing James Harden. He's carrying the biggest offensive burden of any player in these playoffs. And then he's going in full court pressing James Harden. And then that is like what unlocks their defensive scheme because they want to run things through the Harden spread pick and roll. So out, then Cade can just switch onto a big. No lobs. You neutralize James Harden's lob game, make him play one-on-one. Or Cade can fight over screens and stay attached to the ball. He's got great length, decent foot speed. If Harden wants to attack one-on-one, Cade cut off all of his driving angles. He's strong enough to absorb those big shoulder bumps. And then it's like, okay, you got Cade switched off. Let's move him to the corner. No, he's the best rim protecting non-guard in the league besides Derek White. And then it's like, oh, let's put him at the nail. No, his length's going to clog up this driving lane and he's a threat to make a play on the ball. He's a great rotator. He doesn't really mess up on defense at all off the ball. That to me is the superpower. It's this very Jason Tatum, LeBron James-esque thing where it's like, instead of worrying about fit around Cade, let's even go to the top of the league. Look at Jokic, right? When you build around Jokic, it's okay, we need ball handlers. We need cutters. We need guys to protect the rim outside of him. We need point of attack coverage to make him not have to be overtasked against pick and roll or have to protect the rim as much and be a vertical guy. And that's not an exclusive to Jokic thing. You look at Giannis, it's we need to get as many shooters as possible because we want to spread out and run this 4-out, 1-in offense. With Cade, it's like, instead of worrying about what specific tactics you need, like, okay, we need a point of attack defender. Well, no, we don't. Cade can be our point of attack defender. We need a guard who can protect the rim. Well, no, we don't. Cade can be our guard rim protector. We need someone to dominate the ball. No, Cade's one of the best ball dominant players in the league. And then he can also play off of another ball handler. He's pretty active off-ball mover. And it's just, instead of worrying about fit, you worry about talent. And so in the case of Detroit, they've found talent in the name of defensive, athletic, just phenoms, where it's Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed. None of these guys are big scoring threats. But it's just the fact that they can exist. Cade allows all of this to function because he doesn't really have any weak points in his game. And it's kind of hard to quantify that value because it's something that doesn't show up in a box score. It's something that might not even show up in a lot of plus minus stuff. But it's just the fact that we know it exists and we know it allows Detroit to churn out this 60-win season, this historic defense, while still being a great half-court offense against top 10 defenses and in these playoffs.